What is critical illness rider? Now there is a confusion most people have between critical illness and terminal illness. Four things that one needs to keep in mind before you take a critical illness policy. Usually, life insurances are taken to have a payout only after the person is gone. But is there another option to look at? Yes, there is. Absolutely. Which is where the role of something called a critical illness rider comes in. Now, this is not a separate policy in itself. It is a rider. It's an adjunct to an existing policy. What is a critical illness rider? Critical illness rider is an addition to an existing life insurance policy that says that if the policy holder is afflicted by any of the mentioned critical illnesses, then a fixed sum will be paid out immediately to the holder of the policy. The logic being is that while it is critical, it is not necessarily fatal. So by giving him this extra money, the insurance company helps the person fight the disease and stay alive. So it is in the interest of both. However, the critical illness rider costs an additional amount of money. And by using the critical illness, the original policy sum assured does not change. So in the event that somebody has used a critical illness and then in spite of that he kind of succumbs to his illness, then the full policy amount will be paid to his dependents. So that's where critical illness comes into play. The common critical illness that gets covered are cardiovascular diseases, kidney diseases, cancer, etc., etc. Now in all these cases, usually there is a waiting period. That is, from the moment you start your critical illness rider, for the next 90 days or 180 days, you cannot prefer a claim. So if you cross those limits pre-specified in the policy, then you're allowed to claim these and therefore benefit. Now there is a confusion most people have between critical illness and terminal illness. Now critical illness is usually an adjunct that you take. It's an extra policy rider that you take on your existing policy and you have to pay an additional amount towards it, which will ensure you a certain set of money once an illness is detected. On the other hand, a terminal illness rider is actually embedded in a policy, which means that if the policyholder tomorrow is diagnosed with something where he has, by the doctor, given a time of less than 12 months to live, then he can, if the policy provides, go back to the insurance company and get a release of a certain sum of money for his treatment. The idea is, while terminal illness means that he is not going to survive the term, there will be money need for the family to take care of the illness, and sometimes terminal illness policies do allow a certain amount of payout to the patient. But you need to check with your insurance whether the terminal illness cover is provided as part of the policy terms, and there is no additional cost for terminal illness cover. So that is one more thing you need to keep in mind. Four things that one needs to keep in mind before you take a critical illness policy. First up, one needs to look at one's own family and illnesses and look at what is the quantum that one needs. So if the family has a history of cardiovascular diseases, then it's important to assess critical illness based on that and ensure that a suitable cover is bought. Second, you need to ensure that the disease that you want cover is covered under that policy. Many a times, many insurance only provide 4 or 5 or 6. Look at that combination, make sure that what you want gets covered there. Third, ensure that the amount that you're asking is suitable. Asking for too little an amount is useless because the cost of some of these are quite prohibitive. But asking for too high an amount is also too costly. So you have to draw a line somewhere, choose the best possible route. Last but not the least, make sure that this critical illness rider is taken along with the policy and taken in suitable measure. So if you take all these into account, I am sure you will have a great experience. Critical illness rider is not a must, but it is preferred, especially if you have a family history of health issues. Hope this message is useful. Have a lovely day.